Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Wednesday my dudes. Happy Wednesday to you. You know who didn't have a happy Wednesday? Well, dozens of targets inside Russia because Ukraine launched the biggest missile and drone attack against Russia. Several different oblasts. One of the targets actually 1,200 kilometers from Ukraine. Yesterday, it was launched over 200 missiles and drones, the biggest attack during the whole full-scale invasion. Dozens of aircraft of the armed forces of Ukraine in the air. Now there is an allegedly massive missile attack on the Russian Federation. In particular, a missile threat was reported in Oryol, Belgorod and Kaluga regions, 150 to 200 kilometers west of Moscow. In Bryansk, numerous flashes were seen and loud explosions were heard. It was as if the air defense was working. Enemy publications write about launch of ATACMS missiles. We're gonna go through one by one what was hit, but I can tell you, in Bryansk, it was exactly 30 explosions, and it was HIMARS, delivering presents. You know, Russian Christmas was very recently. I guess they got some late presents from the Ukrainians. In addition, traffic on the Crimean Bridge is temporarily closed, an air raid warning has been declared in Sevastopol, and traffic through the Jankoy checkpoint has been temporarily blocked. Very good start to a video, and look at this map, it's beautiful, beautiful for your and mine Wednesday. It's a good image to start my Wednesday with. I'm so used to seeing Ukrainian map, the air raid map. When I was in Ukraine, I had the air raid app. Always, when the Russians attacked, you could see the Ukrainian oblasts in red, which were under missile threat. Finally, we can see the map in Russia. These are all the oblasts that were struck, and Tatarstan right here, 1,200 kilometers away. Wow, very nice. I'm gonna read you a summary of the attack and then we'll go through one by one. Ukraine's largest strike on Russian soil yet hit critical military and strategic targets deep within Russia. From Bryansk to Tatarstan, here's what happened and why it matters. Key targets included Engels oil depot. By the way, Engels oil depot was hit 1 week ago and it burned for 6 days straight. Only 2 days ago, it was finally extinguished. Or the oil tanks just burned empty. Well, yesterday was hit again, so now it's again on fire. This oil, like Engels, is never gonna be not on fire. It's always on fire. Oil fire is really hard to put out, so Russians usually just let them burn until the oil runs out. Chemical plant in Bryansk, producing ammunition and missile components, as well as oil depots in Saratov and Tatarstan. And we have dozens of videos of each of these attacks because the Russians next to them, when the fires went on, everybody was like, "Whoa, blah, look, fire, big fire, let's go and barbecue." Everybody was filming it, posting it online. Now we can enjoy the footage. The operation showcased remarkable coordination between Ukraine's forces, drones, missiles, special operations, and intelligence. In Bryansk, drones drew Russian air defense away, allowing missiles to precisely hit key targets. Follow-up UAV strikes destroyed critical infrastructure, amplifying the damage. Beyond military significance, these strikes send a clear political and informational message. Ukraine is capable of targeting critical infrastructure at the heart of Russia's war machine, and it intends to continue doing so. Very nice, I like this message. My friends, when I do research for these Ukrainian updates, I gotta be fast and efficient because I research in the morning, then I film, and then the edit takes hours and it gotta be uploaded for the same evening. So, this is why I use Ground News, #1 news comparison site in the world. See, I am on Ground News. I have 2 topics here only, Ukraine and Ukraine war. I click apply changes and I will only see those topics in news, nothing else. Looking through those in news, I found Ukraine launches a new counteroffensive in Russia's Kursk region. Let's see what Ground News offers me as their tools to compare news and fact check. First of all, 363 articles. I mean, this is a very popular topic. Also, right, center and left, all of them, all of the leaning, right, leaning, left, center, they all use different wording in the titles, different wording in the article texts. If you learn how to distinguish between the wordings and recognize where they're from, you know the agenda and you think more independently. And it's even more visually clear here on the right. You can see the chart bias distribution, right, center, and left. Just below that we have factuality, 70% high factuality. You gotta keep it high. You don't want trash in your head. There's also an ownership tab which actually says, who owns the media house, they have an agenda. So if you know who owns it, you know their agenda. And of course, everybody's favorite is and should be the 13% independent news. There's so much disinformation online right now. It's one of Russia's biggest export into the world, into the free world. So ground news helps me to shift through that. They have a wonderful offer for you also. Just go to ground.news/Artur or scan this QR code on the screen to get their unlimited access Vantage plan for just $5 a month. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. Okay, 200 missiles and drones and missiles and mixed up everything. 200 flying vehicles going into Russia. Let's see what they hit. Krasnoarmeysky district of Volgograd. Local authorities claimed that the fire was caused by internal reasons, not by outside influence. It is so weird because at the same time where Ukrainians launched the biggest attack against Russians with missiles and drones, an oil refinery in Volgograd suddenly spontaneously combusts. According to local authorities, it has nothing to do with Ukrainian drones or missiles. It just spontaneously combusted. Maybe somebody was smoking carelessly, just like the cigarette butt went like that and poof, the entire oil refinery is on fire. I guess we'll never know. Now we jump to Engels military airfield. Well, this is the one I told you about. Only a day after Russians finally put out the week-long fires at the 800,000-ton capacity fuel depots at Engels military airfield, it has been hit again. Happy Wednesday. This storage facility held rare fuel for Russia's long-range strategic bomber fleet that regularly rains a range of missiles onto the people of Ukraine. With Russia's air defenses crumbling, there will be no rest for the wicked. Ain't no rest for the wicked. It's a good song. Now we go to Kalaykino oil pumping station in Tatarstan. This is the furthest target. We're talking about over 1,000 kilometers away. Excuse my quality of the maps. They're horrible maps, but just for the sake of the oil pipelines, you need to see this. These are the oil and gas pipelines, and this is Tatarstan. This is the biggest oil pumping station, which pumps the oil into the pump lines and creates the pressure necessary to pump it like thousands of kilometers. So this was hit now, which is beautiful. It's good. Again, plenty of videos of locals filming it. Just, oh, look, drone. Whoa, look at it. It makes sound. It's so weird to see Russians just filming their own country getting destroyed and not being sad at all about it. They're like, whoa, Ivan, look at that. Usually it's like a positive surprise. It's the emotion when Russians film Ukrainian drones hitting their country. It's so weird. So that's the pumping station. By the way, yeah, just keep in mind these blue roofs. I want to show you something later. Now we go to the most interesting one, which is the Bryansk Chemical plant. And this one is no joke because it is one of the, we're talking about the biggest missile and drone attack, but now this one is one of the biggest attack on a single target. We're talking about 30, maybe more ATACMS missiles. On January 13th, 2025, news accompanied by video about a strike on the Bryansk Chemical plant emerged rapidly. The few videos show explosions in the distance with no sound of drones and several hits allegedly reported at ATACMS. The absence of incoming drones and no air defense is evident. Hits in sequence are followed by larger explosions, indicating a potential ballistic attack. A jet engine noise is heard, possibly caused by noise distortion from the explosions. This plant has been under observation for the last few months for a series of reasons. The first is the expansive activities, highlighted in red, which satellite images have captured. This shows us a clear change in the landscape with a significant clearing of the area. And this red is an expansion of the plant. Let's also look at it on a video. Look, this is the plant 2022. And look at it grow, slowly grow. It's like an ant's nest. It's like an infestation of Russian military production. Yeah, Putin's been pumping money into this. And now Ukraine's been pumping some attackers into it. Am I right? Okay, I'll stop. So Russians, of course, have an opinion on this. And I'll read you this entire thing, this page, because this is an honest Russian soldier's opinion about what the hell just happened. Ukraine struck our great and beautiful Russian motherland with over 200 missiles and drones. Wow, what the hell? I'll just read it to you. This soldier is salty. A massive drone strike on Russia, over 200 units. Widespread debris falls on industrial facilities. I love the debris falls things because every local Russian government of every oblast or district always says, yeah, we shut down everything. It was the debris that hit our facilities. All of the 5 oil refineries burning right now in Russia. Well, some of them spontaneously combusted. Some Russians were smoking carelessly and others just debris fell. But we destroyed all the targets. The soldiers like debris falls on industrial facilities. The score favors the adversary. This raises just one question for me. Why does Russian Aerospace Forces General Staff even exist? What is its purpose? It conducts no air offensives, no operations to gain air superiority, and so on. A couple of divisional commanders would suffice to launch missile strikes and deliver FABs with guided bombs to targets. So what are the dozens of VKS generals doing? Writing paperwork? But then, who will defend the country's skies? We have the largest number of anti-aircraft missile systems in the world. I'll just say that sentence again because it's so beautiful in the context of today's video. We have the largest number of anti-aircraft missile systems in the world. The third largest fighter force globally. A whole fleet of AWACS aircraft, dozens of radars, and yet we face daily breakthroughs and strikes by slow-moving Ukrainian UAVs on our facilities. This clearly shows that the VKS orchestra, to put it mildly, is in disarray, a cacophony. The third year of war is nearing its end, and there are very specific questions for the VKS generals. Where are the radar networks capable of detecting enemy air threats at extremely low altitudes? Where is the air defense fighter aviation specialized in intercepting such targets? What about air defense helicopters, light air defense fighters, or radar-equipped aerostats? Hey, my dude, my Russian soldier, you're asking serious questions. Watch out! Stay away from high buildings. By asking these questions, you're gonna fall out of a high-story apartment. It's just bound to happen. It's your fate. So think about what you're asking here. Real questions, really dangerous in Russia. Where are the rapid-fire anti-aircraft gun modules capable of automatically detecting and engaging targets? Where is the unified air defense system for the country? Who is responsible for the aerial protection of our skies? Where is the organization of localized air defense systems? Who is personally responsible for this country's air defense? I've said it before and I will say it again. We are incredibly lucky that our air defense system is being stress tested by the outdated and war-weary Ukrainian Air Force. If NATO's aviation group were in their place, the outcome would be devastating. My soldier, my dude, my Russian soldier, truth. You're speaking truth. As a Russian soldier in Russia, watch out, my man. Gravity really affects you when you go to high-story apartment buildings. It's true. It's nothing to add here. By the way, connected to all of these attacks, this article came out December 30th, so it's 2 weeks old. But even then, the situation was like this, so now it's even worse. But the title reads, Russian oil production collapses to 20-year low. So now it's even worse when these oil refineries were hit. Russia's average daily production of crude oil in 2024 slumped to its lowest level in nearly 2 decades. According to the latest figures, which reportedly show the impact of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian energy infrastructure. And this was before yesterday's magnificent, beautiful attack. Data from the oil trade analytic platform Sealam showed that crude oil production this year in Russia averaged 1,254 metric tons per day. The lowest since 2005. Hey, 2005. YouTube wasn't even a thing back then. It's such a dinosaur age. Why it matters? Oil is key revenue generator for Russia, which is the world's third largest producer in oil, accounting for 12% of the global oil production. And Ukraine is using a weapon or method called death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, Russia has dozens of oil refineries. Ukraine is just boom here, boom there. And with one hit, you're not going to burn down the refinery. One refinery might have 50, 60 oil tanks and refining units and heating towers, whatever you have there. Ukraine, with one attack, successful attack, you burn down 5 fuel tanks, maybe one refining tower, and some other infrastructure. The refinery is back on track in 3 months. So you gotta keep hammering at it. This is what Ukraine is doing. Each attack is like a needle pinch for the huge country of Russia. And this has been going on for, sounds beautifully, for years. This war is almost 3 years going on now. So for years, death by 1,000 cuts, it has an effect. Russian oil production plummets. I mean, the statistics don't lie. They're just not able to produce. 20-year low, which is very much wow for me. And I'll continue on the topic because I really love the topic. Russian energy sector is taking one hit after another. 2024 in review and 2025 outlook. Energy is the cash cow of the Russian economy. But over the past 3 years, the sanctions have done their job. What used to be a massive stream of income is experiencing a significant slowdown for all sectors of Russian energy production, but oil. 2024 was a year of falling profits, and 25 promises to further diminish these key funding sources for Russian war machine. And now I can see some of the viewers may be saying, oh, propaganda, you stupid Ukrainian propagandist. Look at the front line, Ukrainians are retreating, they're losing the war. They're losing in Kursk, they're losing in eastern Ukraine. I know the front line, I watch it every day. I know every village that has been taken or retaken or captured or liberated. Ukrainians are retreating. In Kursk, very slowly. In eastern Ukraine, a little bit faster. Russians are advancing on Pokrovsk, they want to take it, much like Bakhmut and Avdiivka. I'm aware of all of that. And with that in mind, looking at the bigger picture, I don't think Russia is winning this war by taking square kilometers, tens of square kilometers, or hundreds, because over hundreds, we're not talking thousands here at all. And it has no significance. They can even take Pokrovsk, they can even take the whole of Donetsk Oblast, but they're losing their oil and gas production capability. They will collapse. In the end, they control Donetsk, and they will just collapse on themselves. What wins this war is who can destroy the other's economy faster, and Ukraine is succeeding in that right now. I'm telling it as I believe in it. Russia is losing this war, and they are advancing on the fronts. If you think about the sentence, it's super weird. That's how it is. I'll continue now. Russian coal industry is in a free fall. The EU's total embargo has decimated exports, pushing companies towards bankruptcy and delaying salaries for months. In Guzbas, one of the world's largest coal mining regions, workers have staged intermittent strikes, demanding long overdue wages. Russia's coal producers ended the year with a loss of about 770 million USD due to a combination of ever stricter sanctions, fall in exports to China, and logistical issues on the Russian railway and naval transport. The International Energy Agency is projecting that the sector will keep shrinking in 25. By the most modest estimates, a 3% decrease can be expected. And sanctions are boring. They are, because they're not Hollywood explosions, I know. But you look at the boring statistics of Russian coal, oil, and gas production and export, then you see the real, true, weaponized effect of sanctions, and it's devastating. It's boring, and it's damn effective and devastating. Electricity generation is also under pressure. Despite official claims as recently as July 24 that electricity exports to China would continue to grow, year-end reports revealed a decline, driving by rising domestic demand in the Russian Far East. Overall, profits in the electricity sector dropped by 42%. You know, Russia, the biggest gas station in the world, one of the biggest natural gas exporters and oil exporters and coal exporters, is having blackouts at some areas. If you think about that, what does it say about the country? I mean, how is this even possible? That this kind of country who is exporting everything, every kind of energy, is having electricity blackouts. I mean, Russia banned exporting electricity for some months. Now they lifted the ban, but this, again, says something that they don't want us to know. Looking ahead, the domestic situation is set to worsen in 25, with electricity bills for Russian households expected to rise by at least 12%. In a country where energy production should be the cheapest thing for its citizens, they're going to pay more. Oil and gas stand out as outliers in the broader picture of falling profitability. Despite sanctions, Russian oil trade recovered and was 56% higher year on year than in 2023 as of August. Bad news. Overall, Russia's oil and gas industry showed very good profitability, over 41 billion in third quarter of 24. However, not everything is going well in the blood oil kingdom. The oil profits took a hit in October, November 24 when the price of crude oil fell. I'm not going to read you the rest, but the point is, Russia is a gas station. Whatever happens in the world oil markets, if it's the US, if it's Saudi Arabia, if they play around with the prices, increasing their production and lowering the price with 10, 20, 30%, this might not mean much to the US or much to the Saudi Arabia, but it's a death sentence for Russia. Look what happened in the 80s after the Soviet-Afghanistan war and the oil production increase of the United States and Saudis, and the price went down for a decade. I mean, the Soviet Union collapsed, but it still took 10 years. Russia is big, it's hard to collapse. Lower the oil prices and wait a few years and you have it. No weapons necessary. How do we know the effects? Well, my friends, if you're a very profitable company, you're not going to lay off your staff. Well, Gazprom, as Russia's one of the biggest companies and state-owned gas and oil company, is laying off 50% of the staff of their headquarters. Again, they're not going to report that anything is bad, but they are laying off thousands of people. This is official information, by the way. So, again, it paints us a picture that the Russians don't want us to know. All of this follows United States' new sanction package, which targets Russia's shadow fleet. Yes, ever since the price ceiling of $60 of the G7 countries, Russia has been using their shadow fleet of oil tankers or for selling oil to China and India. But now, United States hits the shadow fleet with sanctions and threatening countries with secondary sanctions who buy Russian sanctioned oil. And now India reacts to it. India to reject oil tankers that were sanctioned by the US on Friday. And again, one might say, oh, the sanctions are not working. Russians are still shooting Shaheds at Ukraine and advancing on the front. You can even advance on the front and shoot Shaheds when your country's almost collapsed. You can still do that. It has no connection to how Russian economy is doing. I mean, they can still fire Shaheds even if the economy collapses. For a while, they can keep doing that. The thing is, every war follows the economy of the warring countries. So if you collapse the enemy's economy, they are going to collapse in the end. It takes some time. Give it some time and trust the process. It is working, I'm telling you. Sanctions are working. We just got to keep hammering them. I found this funny friendly fire incident because Russians really reported on this. They were really proud about this. Earlier today, Russian channels posted a video. Purportedly, what is this word? Purportedly, I'm going to use supposedly, showing a strike on what was claimed to be a Ukrainian Western-made radar system. Just one catch. It appears to have been a friendly fire incident on a rare North Korean SAM system in Russian service. That's the video. They showed a video of like going down in it and boom, kamikaze drone explosion. Look at it. This is the one. And that's the North Korean SAM system. So you shoot down your own, you destroy your own SAM system radar, which is quite expensive. I mean, it's North Korean. I don't know how good it is. And then he's like, oh shit, we screwed up, Ivan. What do we do? Hey, let's turn it into a propaganda victory. Destroy your own SAM system? Don't worry about it. We can make propaganda out of it. Paint it as a Ukrainian. So I got a good laugh out of this. So, now, my friends, I want to show, like, this is bizarre. This is a Russian State Duma members talking and arguing and actually talking about this. A potentially regime-ending showdown is brewing in the Russian government today, as the Russian Duma is trying to stop the central bank's proposal to confiscate all funds from every citizen's bank account of any balance over 1.4 million rubles or $13,000, which is like the nationally government-backed amount. If you put that amount in your bank accounts and bank goes south, you will get that money back. But everything else, they want to confiscate. Pretty much they're talking about taking away people's money to prop up the Russian economy, the war economy, and banks. Thing is, ever since, like, the interest rate is 21% right now. Ever since that happened, like 6 months ago, Russians have been insane about deposits. I mean, banks offer 30% interest on Russian bank deposits. I saw the number, it's 67 billion USD. Personal Russian deposits on banks are worth 67 billion USD. Now that's a lot of money, that's a lot of cash. And there is talk in the State Duma argument that, we cannot allow them to do this. We have to protect the people. I mean, it shouldn't even be an argument. It's people's money. You cannot take it. And they're like, I think it's bad. Let's not do it. They're trying to beat the good guys and fight against it and protect the people against the central bank. But the central bank is controlled by Putin. If Putin wants to do it, he can do it. But the fact that they're talking about it is damn insane. Imagine, how much money do you have in the bank? Don't answer in the comments. But think about the government taking all of it, except for the nationally backed sum, which is in the European Union is a pretty high amount, of course. But still, if you're well off, right, you have that money, you have deposits, they're going to take everything. It's crazy. And then, of course, the Russian central bank comes out with a communication to oppose this. Russian central bank dismisses retail deposits, freeze rumors. The Russian central bank has sought to dismiss rumors about a possible freezing of retail deposits, which have been seeing explosive growth in recent months due to raising interest rates, aligned with the regulator's benchmark rate. The thing is, they're saying they're not going to do it, but the fact is, when Russians officially say they're not going to do something, usually they do it. If they're really not going to do something, they just don't talk about it. They don't care about their people, so there's no point in saying to the people, okay, we're not going to take your money. They just don't talk about it if they don't care about it. If they want to do something, they usually say, we're not going to do it. So are they really going to steal 67 billion of Russian people's personal money to prop up the economy and the banks? Damn, son. That's going to be the biggest wah-wah-wee-wah ever. Now we go to Russian Ministry of Defense building in Moscow. And this is supposed to be the castle of the loyal to the regime. I mean, FSB, intelligence, counterintelligence. You're working for them, you're safe, right? You're in the safest building in Russia because you're working for the guys who have all the power in Russia. Well, no. Russian FSB officer reportedly found dead in central Moscow building. It's not reportedly, he was found dead and he had a bullet wound in the forehead. So he was executed. Vladimir Feshenko, which, by the way, this is a Ukrainian last name. Vladimir should be Volodymyr Feshenko, but it's a Ukrainian inheritance, apparently. A Russian Federal Security Service officer has been found dead in a building in central Moscow. Preliminary information suggests he was murdered. The thing is, imagine, let's go Pentagon, United States. Imagine a murder, an execution in Pentagon. Can you imagine it? Imagine the situation or how it would come out, who would be to blame, how big of a scandal it would be. I think the defense minister would have to resign. That's how big of a scandal it would have to be. Well, this happened just now in Moscow, and nobody really even cares. It's Russia, right? But it spells huge writing on the wall. Nobody is safe. You're working for the FSB. You are not safe. You do something wrong, you might fall out of the window, but now they have upgraded their methods. It's just a hole in the front of the forehead. It wasn't in the back, it was at the front. So I guess the dude looked him in the eye before he did it. So yeah, nobody is safe in Russia. Now my friends would jump to Slovakia, led by a Russian puppet, Fico, or many of you people from Slovakia are saying I should say Fico. Is it Fico? It sounds Italian. Fico. Prime Minister Fico. I don't know. Fico. Right. The opposition to him are holding a no confidence vote. They will hold one. And I'm so glad to hear it because Fico, and Orban have been Putin's closest friends in the EU and in NATO. I mean, this is very dangerous for us. And Fico has to go. He has to go. His time is over. Same with Orban. So I hope the no-confidence vote goes through. And we continue with the gossip because Fico recently is throwing shots or drawing, like he has beef with Zelensky. They're beefing back and forth because 1st of January, Ukraine stopped all gas transits from Russia to the EU, which affected the most Slovakia and Hungary. Of course, both countries have enough gas they can buy from other places, but the price is a little bit more expensive for the citizens. And Fico rambles now about an urgent need to meet and discuss the flow of gas through Ukraine to Slovakia. And that they need to meet with Zelensky and do it. And Zelensky responds to it, okay, come to Kiev and we'll talk. Just a short one. Just a reminder, Fico went to meet with Putin. He went to Moscow to meet with Putin as a EU member state leader to go and meet a war criminal terrorist. And then Fico declines Volodymyr Zelensky's offer, okay, come to Kiev, we'll talk. He declines, he rambles that Kiev is just very bad, they don't want to give us gas, they want our citizens to freeze. And he goes and visits Putin, but does not want to go and visit Zelensky, although he wants to speak to Zelensky. Such a weird situation. My friends, turned out, I don't know why, maybe it's a Russian attack, but the internet just died. I'm sorry. Sorry guys, the internet died. I was trying to butcher some Buy Me a Coffee monthly members, but I actually cannot open the page. Because my internet died. So I just, hey, here's a patch. You want the patch? It's a Rehi patch, original one. Everyone who is a monthly member, active member of Buy Me a Coffee, link is in the description, will get this patch. All you gotta do is write to me there. Hundreds of people have done it. I've sent out the patches. I'll send it to you because you deserve it. Until my next video, my friends, which will be on Friday. So be sure to be back and subscribe. Slava Ukraini and bye-bye.
Kui mina ükskord noores eas võtsin vana naise, kui mina ükskord noores eas võtsin vana naise, siis tema kurat kiusas mind ühest päevast teise, siis tema kurat kiusas mind ühest päevast teise. Läksin surnuaiale, palusin seal surma, läksin surnuaiale, palusin seal surma. Tule surma, päästa mind, vii mu naine hauda, tule surma, päästa mind, vii mu naine hauda. Läksin koju tagasi, naine oli surnud, läksin koju tagasi, naine oli surnud, surmaingel oli ta oma kaasaks viinud, surmaingel oli ta oma kaasaks viinud.